Alrighty, how to do? Back at it. I think if you can tell here, this is where I do most of my napping, and I've got some good pieces. I think I'm gonna try and make a small blade, a skinning blade out of this right here. I may even just use it as it is until I can't do it anymore. But I do all of my spalling with hammerstones, and simply because I like the way that they push off nice thick flakes if you can get them right, and they're thick all the way around. Whereas you notice other materials, you get that really hard bulb right here, and this one's got it. It's just most of the time softer materials work a little bit better. Here's a knife that I did out of some I can't remember where this is from. Maybe English flint, but it's one of my favorite skinning blades. It's nice and serrated and got an antler handle on it. But what I'm working on right now, set this aside so I don't sit on it and break it or leave it here to rot. Working on right now is another blade, another knife blade out of some floor tile, some porcelain floor tile. And I actually kind of like this stuff. It's grainy, but I like the way that it feels, and I like the look of it. It challenges me to really get my angles right, and it's a good training material. I use it to make sure that I'm striking correctly, and it'll let you know if you don't. If you make a mistake, it's gone. It'll break. But that's where I get things like this, pieces to make points out of and such. Just flake off, basically indirect percussion on that kind of stuff. Nice aluminum tip. But this is all entirely percussion at the moment, and I don't think I can hold it and nap at the same time, unless I may be able to turn the camera around. Let's see. Nope, not that proficient with it. But you can see here, I think my next strike, I'm running some thinning flakes to get these sides off this. I'm going to call it a cortex. This glaze, this finish off of here, and it's almost the full width of the tile, not quite, that I've got left, and that's my real challenge. I think I'm gonna try and make a Ross blade out of it, but I'm trying to get these ridges off, which they're almost gone. I think I'll take some passes in from this side. I can work this edge down to point this way and drive off some nice flakes. Follow these, use these as sort of a guideline. But the rest of them, they're gone. I've pretty much gotten them off. I'll have to get these hinges off, but that'll come off when I'm doing this flaking. I have a feeling that this is all going to come off in one large flake. If I can get it right, I may be able to do it from here, sort of this point here and here that I may use. But also, I need to drive that off because it's kind of a bulb. But I'm going to pause this and do that, and hopefully I'll show you what that looks like. So here's what it looks like. Now let me pause it. Okay. Well, I got this off right here. It's hard to push long flakes off of this material. It, like I said, is very grainy, and it really is challenging. I just set up a new platform up here, so I kind of reshaped it a little bit. It's going to be a small blade. Well, small by the standards that I'm going by, at least. I set up a new platform up here, get some of this junky stuff off. It's kind of hinging and won't quit, so I'm going to come in it from this angle, get underneath it, and drive it off that way. So let's see if I can do that. Okay, so I got most of it. I drove off all of that, and then this cortex stuff is starting to come off. I need to get underneath here, so I think what I'll try to do, if I can, is drive a flake from here over, and hopefully do almost a little bit of an overshot flake. It's going to be a real challenge on this material, but I think I still have enough thickness there to pull it off. But it's gonna be right there is where I'm going to try and drive the flake in from. Drive it all the way down, and do that kind of business right there. It'll just kind of follow this, hopefully, and drive all of this off. hopefully. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drive off this part, this Cortex stuff, from here. I've already kind of reshaped the platform a little bit. I need to pop that off, but they may give me a good place to start. I'll just go ahead and grind it, give it a couple whacks, and see what happens. Okay, so I drove off a lot of that Cortex right there, but I still need to get rid of this step, which I think I can do in kind of one fell swoop. I'll lead right up to it and then just use it to drive off. So I'll flatten this stuff out back here. I'm going to end up with a narrower base than I originally wanted to. It's still a decently sized blade, and I may end up leaving some of this this stuff on too. I almost kind of like the way it looks. I need to fix that tip. It's kind of chunky up there, but I'll do that last, I think. So I'm not too concerned about this down here. This obviously looks very, well, obvious. I think I'm going to drive a flake right in here and see if I can't take off a lot of this at the same time. Okay, well, I kind of got it. I can get the rest of it in shaping up the handle, or the tang and stuff like that, but that's what I've ended up with. So I blew off both of these, and this little point right here, which I'm not terribly concerned about. I mean, the rest of it looks good. So I need to drive off this, though, this huge chunk here, and then I'll drive off some flakes right across this edge this way, and that should hopefully straighten it back up. But this is my target right here. I may not get all of it, and I don't think I'm gonna get all of it, but I'm gonna drive a heavy flake, try to at least, and get a lot of this, at least this back end of it off. Maybe from here to about midway, just about midway, but we'll see what we get. Okay, so I really pushed my luck on that one, and it paid off. I was able to get all of this off in about 3 strikes, so they just went clean halfway across, and it thinned it out really, really well. So this is what I've got so far. Like I said, it's going to be a much smaller blade than I originally wanted it to be, but I mean, it's fine. It'll do for the shape and demonstration to kind of talk about stuff. Now I'm going to drive some flakes down across here, this huge thick edge, drive some flakes, hopefully get a little bit of this off and not snap it. This, I mean, I could take or leave that. I think I'm going to take it anyway. But I definitely need to do something about this right here. Now that this edge is super thin, I'm going to kind of take some short little flakes off to kind of do this. I may even pressure flake it to kind of save myself the trouble of worrying about snapping it. So we'll see. This still needs to come off. This is kind of bulbous and thick. I may work my way up to here and just pop a heavy flake off there. I like the shape of it so far. I mean, it's starting to kind of turn into that Ross shape. Clean up this area back here. Trying to decide what to do next. I think this is going to be my next target right here. So, okay. So I did it. I went ahead and took some flakes off this way. Didn't do a whole lot, but like I said, I'm not terribly concerned about that. What I am concerned about is this. And that's what I'm getting ready to take off now. You can see I've kind of set up that platform and ground it, and I'm about to pop this off. Now, this is either going to work or it's going to break the blade. So we're going to see if I have a knife or an arrow point. Okay, it worked, and it worked beautifully. So I was able to take off a lot of that. I was able to take off all of that hump. You can see it's no longer, come on, focus. It's no longer there. And there's a little bit of stepping on the backside. I'm not going to worry about it. It's got a beautiful two-tone sort of to it, the inner part of that clay. And it's amazing because that's really what this is. This is clay, you know, this is porcelain. And I ground that a little bit. I kind of planned on taking and whacking this and see if I couldn't get this part off. But it's a whole lot thinner than it was to start with. We want to look at the actual thickness of that tile. I haven't lost a terrible amount of width compared to what it was originally. Do I have any more pieces of that tile? Or is this glass? What do I have? Hold on a second. Okay, so I don't have any more tile, but I do have this glass tile, which I really like. This glass kind of subway tile. And a piece of marble, which is not for knapping. I'm going to use that for something else. But I got all this from Lowe's, pretty much. But now what I think I'm going to do is take and do a little bit of pressuring. This is an indirect percussion tool that I use, but it's also a pressure flaker if you use it right. So I'm going to take and do some pressuring and kind of pop off some of these hinges and other places that I don't want to do with percussion because I'm getting scared because it's really thin now.